mais cozy aqui. Gayotto, tudo bom?
Olá, boa tarde, tudo bem? Como é que tá, Magaldi?
Dá mais volume no Carlos aqui no palco, por favor. Legal, bom, como a gente tem feito nos outros dias, esse aqui é uma gravação para o Blockchain Insider Podcast, que é o podcast que dá nome ao palco aqui, do nosso palco aqui no Blockchain Rio. Então vou virar para o inglês para a gente começar. Se quiser soltar o tempo aí, Isaac, a gente já começa. Tempo. Solta para mim o tempo, Isaac. Boa, então vamos lá. LFG people, hello and welcome to Blockchain Insider. We're live from Blockchain Rio. I'm Mauricio Magaldi, and today we're going to take a look at the opportunities for developers in alternative industries. To dig into this, I'm joined by Bernardo Madeira, CEO of Interchains and Vice President at iColab. Bernardo, how are you? Where can people find you online?
Oh, great. Thank you for the invitation. Yeah, sure. Well, you can find me online at Bernardo M in Instagram, Bernardo.madeira in Twitter. In the Interchains site, which is www.interchains.net. And yeah.
And LinkedIn.
Of course, my email, bernardo@interchains.net.
Got it. Thank you, Bernardo. Gayotto, Carlos Gayotto is the founder of Toon Traders, also joins us today from the Metaverse. Kaká, how are you? Thank you for joining us here. Where can people find more about you online?
Thank you for the invitation, Magaldi, and people can find me online on Instagram by Carlos Gayotto with the Y and double T, and also just look for the same name on LinkedIn.
Thank you. Perfect. All right, so let's just dive in, right? The idea here for this conversation is to get two sides of this story. Bernardo is a developer and architect and has been involved in blockchain for many, many years. And Carlos is an entrepreneur who employs developers in a very alternative industry. Toon Traders is a startup of blockchain for music. So I'm going to start with you, Carlos. If you can break down for us what are your needs or the recurring needs that you have seen in your experience running Toon Traders of the needs for developers in the space? What are the shortcomings? Where did you find the hardest to find developers to help you run the business?
Great, Magaldi. Well, this is something that we in Brazil we know that we are creating this environment, and a lot of the things that I've seen to create the business. As much as I do, that we had to do a lot of researches in the international industries about what is going on blockchain-wise, right? So we had to look what kind of tools we had, and after that we had to look for people here who had the capacity to develop it. So we know that we have a partnership with GoLedger, which is a very high level development department that we created alongside with them. So pretty much they work for innovations with Petrobras and Banco Central. So we know that we have the best team possible to create what we've been creating here. Of course, they don't have the expertise on the music business, so that's my side of the job that I try to organize that, so they can create with more focus and without wasting a lot of time. in the beginning, we tried to have some developers working part time with us, and it just we know that it wouldn't last too long. So I'm glad that we could find the right partners to help giving life to this project, which is very ambitious from our side. And we really try to make a change, make a difference for the industry that has been with a lot of problems of creating a lot of problems to the artists for 100 years already. So we are trying to solve that through the technology of blockchain. And it's great to have those high-level experienced guys helping us on the daily basis.
Got it. So Bernardo, I think one of the things that I can draw from Carlos's points is that it took a long time to find the proper people, right? So that seems to be kind of the space where we are now, the time where we are now, that there's a lot of opportunities for developers. And sometimes we do find the right combination of technical skills, although it's probably hard to find specifics. But it's also hard to find developers with industry experience, which, as we all know, comes a long way when you're trying to develop and disrupt an industry. Having that kind of next level industry expertise on top of being a developer is also somewhat important to kind of hit the ground running. What are the top resources you find most useful for developers trying to be just more than coders and be more in tune with the industries they're trying to break into? What is the best approach for these developers to actually get their feet wet in industry specifics?
Yeah, sure. So one of the main problems is that today every single developer actually presents themselves as full stack developer. And actually a full stack developer is someone that's not able not only to code to code or a front end or a layout or an API, but actually to architect. So that's the main difference of a full stack of a coder. And that is very, very difficult to understand because a good architect will know how to land the business requirements to the architectural and operational model. I mean, the functional model, which is much more based on business demands and how the system should function in order to attend those demands, against how it will operate, how it will scale, and how it will perform. So architecture, systems architecture, I think that system architecture is that the real full stack. Because coding, I mean, you can get a very good developer that knows a lot about syntax, but if he doesn't have the capability of architecting a database or knowing about the 5 formal norms of the database in order for your business to scale, you will have a huge problem on the first or second high volume demand of users. So, and that is very difficult. So something that, and that is a problem within our industry, because everyone presents themselves as almost senior, and it's very challenging in order for you to get the right people for the job. But there are very skilled resources, and I think that the most important thing is that whenever you contract someone or you hire someone, first of all the resource must be transparent. He must tell you what he doesn't know. So and the second thing is that he must be curious. I don't have any problem in hiring a person that doesn't know about the technology. I want someone who runs after to understand and to know about the technology. So it's a kind of attitude as well.
Got it. And how do you think we can, as an industry, create incentives for developers to actually go after this? Because I understand the point of, you know, putting on your resume that you're a very senior developer, and I mean, you know, paper accepts everything. But when push comes to shove and you have to actually get, you know, down and dirty with the tech, and even, you know, as you said, translate the business requirements that Carlos was saying into something that works for that application or that industry at scale, that's when we, you know, where the true colors come out, right? So how do you believe we can encourage, as an industry, developers to be, one, more transparent about their skill sets, and two, more eager to actually go and learn about their gaps and, you know, the shortcomings?
Okay, to be more transparent, it depends on the person. Mainly whenever, I mean, it will depend on the person, and sometimes with a little bit help, you know, you can tell him, hey, you know, it's okay for you not to know. So I started the industry not knowing, and a lot of times I said that yes, I knew, and they, you know, and you pass through a bad moment whenever, oh no, I don't know actually about that. So it's okay to say that, you know, okay, it's okay for you to say that you don't know. I will help you. You got a lot of material. You got I mean, I will not disconsider you for not knowing, but I will disconsider you if you lie to me, because, you know, it's an industry that it's a. And the other thing is that as an industry, we can gather or involve the developers within the business. So developers must have a peripheral vision of the business, of how, and bring them to the business as well. So in other companies, we are, so I'm part of other companies as well, and a CTO of other startups. So we offer them participation as stock, as options, in order for them to be part of the business. We bring other people that have successful exits so they can represent themselves, understand the business, and be part of the business. So curious people and transparent people are very valuable. Not only the skills, but much more curious and that wants to know, and transparent people.
So
if I could, Magaldi,
Yeah.
compliment a few things that he's saying. Bernardo has been brilliant on his comments, but I try to organize those thoughts in a way that is a little clear, maybe from the standpoint of the entrepreneur, right? We as entrepreneurs, we're trying to solve a problem in the industry, in the day-by-day lives for people. If we don't have problems, we don't have anything to work on, right? So it's very important that once you understand that, you try to bring a team, and I'm not talking only about developers, that help you organize that. But the most important thing is to understand, well, we are here together to create a solution, right? And that being said, and once again, not relating only to developers, but to the whole team, I try to hire people that have the same kind of culture. And by culture, I mean that skills can be attained, but cultures, most of the times, they can't be attained that easily. So it's a lot more important to have this kind of how do I say, incentives, in a way that you can put knowledge into that guy that has a culture than the other way around. So what I try to understand first in my team is that by any chance that guy has the same culture that I'm trying to put into the company. And by that, I also include if he understands the solution, and if he wants really to solve a problem in the world, right? So If he just wants to have the status, that's a problem. And that's what I call, and Bernardo said that in another way, I call theater. That's when you understand that the person is lying to you, right? So that being said, it's very important to know those people, and of course, as those things, mailing and technology, are so fast, they happen so fast. Sometimes you just get to know the person who is lying like a long time after that. So that could be a problem. But the most important thing, so if I could just put in one line, it's to understand that this technology is going to solve some problem, and that is part of the culture of the organization that you are trying to create. And this guy just comes to help on that, and to share this kind of aim, right? So that's how I would put the same concept that Bernardo is saying.
Got it. So if I can kind of summarize, I mean, both of you are looking through the same problem in different lenses. You have different angles on this, but both of you kind of outlined not only the technical competency that needs to be in place to actually get stuff done, which, I mean, we've explored this in other panels. It's really a time for us to learn how to do things, but also there's a whole spectrum of skills that are on the soft side, right? I mean, both of you addressed that, the point of being very transparent with, your own shortcomings, if you really know these things. Carlos made a point of it's much easier to train a person on the technical skills than it is to actually get them up to speed with the culture, right?
The culture.
So I think if we can kind of, bring this forth to the developers that are, listening to this, is that you need to work on the both sides of things, right? You need to master your skill sets where you dominate the technical aspects, but you also need to be in tune with the culture where you want to be a part of, because you don't have to work anywhere, but if you're going to work with other people, it is important that you blend in, both in like ways of working, but also you understand the culture that is trying to be created, because we're on Web3, but there's a very wise man from, old industrial days, Jack Welch, that said that culture eats strategy for breakfast, which is, kind of one of those adages that are kind of timeless. And it's true for Web3, right? I mean, we're talking about community, we're talking about, DAOs and, the culture of the DAOs, how you retain developers once the work's done on a DAO. So all of these things kind of derive from both mastering the skills on the technical side, but also being able to work together to blend into the culture that is trying to be created. And I love that you guys touched on these two things kind of in different terms and in different angles, but I think if there's anything in particular, it's kind of more towards that. I want to turn this conversation a little bit about alternative industries, right? We are talking about the Web3 and how crypto over financializes everything, because everything in crypto becomes a form of incentive that translates into a financial end of things. But it's important to also understand that there's other industries other than finance, right? So Bernardo, I want to start with you. What are the alternative industries that are non-standard that you're seeing a big gap for developers, where there are opportunities for them to develop not only the technical skills, but learn more about other industries? I know you've been dabbing into music and into gaming, into other forms of entertainment. What are these industries, and how can developers actually go and find opportunities in them?
So I think that there are at least 5 kind of industries that are being developed and are very, very new, but they do have a high demand on the market, or will have a very high demand on the market. I think that the first one that comes over to my mind, that it's the most underdog of the industries, is the communities. So And that goes very tight with the DAO, with the decentralized autonomous organization strategy. So in order for the next organizations to go further and the strategy of go to market today after the pandemic, it's which is a much more digital sales. It is much more based on, or the success is much more based on community gathering or community creation. We can see almost 80% more sales on whenever you have your customer engaged within a community because he sells your product for you and because he's engaged. So there are a lot of opportunities to expand on that industry, which is the evolution of digital marketing, which is an inbound marketing strategy which goes outbound very, very quickly and is scalable. Another technology, another tendency that's coming over very, very strongly is gamification as well, because every single one of us, actually the young people actually are in games, and comes over with the metaverse strategy as well. So I see the future much more like a gamification, and it's very important for the education industry because we must know that our schools, our methodology of teaching to our kids, it's still very old school. So whenever you see schools and whenever you see all the bombardment of information that our kids are having within their phones, and they cannot concentrate and to read a textbook given by the teacher, you must recognize that the education industry must change. Whenever you see that, even best professors are in YouTube as well, so you must recognize that the education industry. So I think that gaming, the gaming industry will permeate, will go into all those, mainly in the education industry that needs to, schools and the education industry needs to be re-architected in a way. Well, of course, DAO and of course DeFi, because it's a future of finance. I mean, I think that the decentralized services, not only decentralized finance, but decentralized services are one of the main points in order that will expand. It will expand a lot. And marketplaces. We as consumers are changing a lot in how we purchase. And again, after pandemic, every one of us is much more digital. So I think that those will be the main industries or the evolution of today's industries that are today.
Got it. Carlos, you operate in one of these alternative industries. You're both a filmmaker and an entrepreneur in the music business as well, being yourself an artist. These are the industries that are closer to you, right? Other than these ones, in the kind of border between them, what other industries do you think are in need of this new, form of developer that knows not only the technical side but also the industry?
Okay, I think that the world and the way we buy things inside of a capitalism system is changing. We want to share more than just have everything centralized. So the centralized finance, I don't think it's the right word right now, because we're trying to put the DeFi concept on everything. So I don't think this is something that just relates to finance. This is something that is beginning through that, because we have the system of the capitalism. So we were more pushed towards that, more easily. And when I think about sun traders, that's the same thing, because although we are talking about arts, we are talking about how the royalties are organized. And we want to just open from the industry level to, to the fan level, to everyone's level. So pretty much I think this kind of thought could be organized to any industry, and not only industries. I think the smaller things, once they deal with money or with consumption, that could be organized in the same way. So it's really interesting when Bernardo said about community creation, gamification, and education as three of the most important things of this kind of way of consumption. And I think it applies to any industry, not only alternative industries. I think that alternative industries should look more over DeFi to try to create new models for them. And that's all. I don't think this is just something that is related to one particular type of industry. I think any kind of industry should think toward decentralization right now.
I like that. I like that very much. And one particular industry that I'm actually excited about is social media, social networking, right? If we think about in the recent years, with the power attributed to social networking, we're seeing social networks actually interfering with democracy, which is remarkable and scary at the same time. Like, how come a data platform can have such an impact in society in ways that we've seen recently? But I think decentralization really is something that in social networking will be really change in the center of gravity, right? Because with decentralization, that means that the platform comes to us and our data, and we are now self-sovereign over our data in this decentralized architectures. And that means that now we decide who gets to see our data. We decide if we want to share the data and how much our data we believe it's worth, so we can charge for that. So there are a couple examples that comes to mind when thinking about how social networking is going to change. Is the new Lens protocol that has been built by the team at Aave. And they are building that as a protocol because now anyone can go and build a social network on top of that set of instructions and codes and APIs. And that means that now you can carry your data with you. If you're not satisfied with how a social network is working for you or not working for you, you can just remove the access from everything you own, whoever you like, whoever you're following, whoever your followers are, and then move that to another platform and be happy there. Like, you can't do that with Facebook. What people don't realize that when you're doing like TikToks, challenges and Instagram Reels or Stories, that data belongs to the platform. It's not yours anymore. So I think these are the industries that if we have more people that understand the implications of the industry and are great developers, they can build amazing stuff that really decentralizes the way we interact, not only with the platforms but also with each other, right? If I'm a content creator and I want to monetize my content, right now I'm hostage to platforms, and it's the same for artists, right, by the way. But if you have that self-sovereignty over your data on the decentralized space, you can become much more as a person or as an entrepreneur. And I would greatly encourage developers to kind of go and find out more about the implications of that, because the opportunity is immense. I mean, I don't think we're going to see in Web3 these behemoths, gigantic platforms like Facebook or Meta or even Twitter. I think there are better ways for us to do that same sort of online community, and it's going to be decentralized. So there's a lot of opportunities for devs to kind of rethink the way we interact online, and I think these protocols are bound to kind of bring forth. And the second protocol I mentioned is Subsocial, which is built on Polkadot, which is the same concept, right? It's just a protocol. I can create a Twitter on top of it, I can create a Facebook on top of it, or an Instagram, and everything that is there is mine. So it's pretty sick to see
Yes, I think
these
there
things
will
develop.
be the identity industry development. I mean, there are a lot of platforms, there are a lot of solutions today, and platforms there where you can develop. I mean, you know, Hyperledger Indy as well. You got for permission or for permissionless, even smart contract standards today for identity. So I think that it will be another industry that will evolve due to all of this, connectivity.
Absolutely. Now, we're approaching the end of this, and we've been wrapping up these panels with, eyes to the future, right? Looking ahead, from where we are now, we've come a long way, in 5 years' time, 6 years' time. And I've been asking the guests about what are their highest hopes for the industry in the years to come, like short, medium, long term. Take your pick, choose one. But I want to pick your brains on this, right? Carlos, you having been involved into this for so long now, what would be your highest hope for our industry in the years to come?
Well, Magaldi, that we share a lot of content every day from here to there and the other way around. So we've been dreaming with this world that has less billionaires and a lot of more average rich people, right? So I'm not talking about only one industry or the industry that I'm working for this many years. I don't want to speculate this only kind of change, but what I can understand that we are trying to create here is a way to share better the resources that we have created in the world. So when you have Facebook trying to put a name of Meta for himself, in something that is supposed to make a word more, better equalized, let's say like that. That really goes against everything that we've been working for on the Web3. So I want, or what I work for, is a world with less billionaires and more, rich people in a good way. Talking about mental health, if that is some kind of way to call yourself rich, right? So the world as it is, it's been a long time that shouldn't exist, in my opinion. So that's what I work for, to have more a world that is more equal for everyone. And I think that we are just one step closer to that once we start to all of us develop together this world. So that's how I hope it works in the next 10 years.
Awesome. Bernardo, same to you. What is your highest hope for our industry as we move along with all of this?
Well, I have three. Short term, middle term, and long term. And I really liked the opinion of Carlos. I think it was awesome that I was thinking in the short term and the long term, but he gave me the idea for the middle term. The short term, of course, I mean, it's much more an operational goal, which is, I think, that it's integration. I mean, with all the movement of APIs and all the, I think that we're in the right way in order to make all these new economies, these new movements, these new technologies, and this new business together and to collaborate together. And I think that it's through the API, the developers which are focusing on the APIs and all this API development movement that's been in the last 5 years. The middle term, I think, it is extremely important as human, which Carlos mentioned, which is the mental health. So it's very important, not only for us in the IT industry, which is a very stressful, it is very, very stressful. Sometimes it is, as developers, it is very lonely because, you know, everyone goes out, but you must concentrate for, you know, for tomorrow. You cannot overdrink or whatever, or go to a party and overdrink every single day, because you must work with your head. So, you know, when everyone is partying, you must be ready to concentrate as an athlete, you know, because it's an athlete kind of demand. But I think that technology must help us to, you know, to take care of the mental health of other people, not only in our industry but in a human level, which goes tied to a long term, which is we must figure out in order to better utilize our resources. So I think that all of this technology movement, all of this, you know, humanity going, you know, advancing as a human species, will depend if we advance or we, you know, we don't advance, will depend on how we utilize our resources. So in the long term is to better understand, to better utilize our, you know, natural and human resources.
I love this. And so I think that's a very strong and hopeful way to end our discussion. So we're going to wrap it up for today. Just a quick reminder to let you know that the views of our panel are their own and not necessarily the opinions of the companies that they are representing. Thank you all so much for joining us here at Blockchain Rio Festival. Stay rare, stay weird, LFG. Thank you.
Thank you.
Obrigado, pessoal. A gente vai dar